What if the internet physically weighed something? Let's start with a weird fact. The internet already does have a weight, sort of, but not in the way you think. If you're imagining Google balancing on a giant bathroom scale, or Facebook adding a few extra kilograms when you post vacation photos, that's not quite it. The internet is made up of data. Billions of emails, cat videos, online shopping carts you abandoned 3 years ago, and an alarming number of conspiracy theories about lizard people. But data isn't stuff in the traditional sense. It's stored as electrical charges on tiny components inside servers, computers, and phones. Those charges are carried by electrons, and electrons have mass. Very, very, very tiny mass. So tiny, in fact, that if you added up all the electrons holding all the internet's data, every photo, every video, every document, every spam email promising you millions of dollars, you'd get a total weight of around 50 grams. That's about the weight of a strawberry. That means the internet, as it exists today, weighs less than the burrito you had for lunch. But let's ignore boring reality for a moment and ask, what if the internet weighed a lot? What if every single byte of information actually had significant physical mass? Suddenly, uploading a video isn't just a matter of bandwidth. It's a matter of whether the floor can hold it. Let's imagine that for every megabyte you stored, you had 1 gram of physical weight. That means 1 gigabyte would weigh a kilogram. That's already interesting. Your phone might weigh an extra few kilos just because you took too many selfies. Your laptop could be a dangerous weapon if it had a full hard drive. Now imagine scaling that up. Right now, global data storage is in the zettabytes. That's a billion terabytes. If every terabyte weighed 1 metric ton, the total mass of the internet would be a nightmare. We're talking billions of tons, enough to sink continents if all that data were in one place. Data centers, the massive server farms that keep the internet running, would have to be built like bunkers. Not because of cyber attacks, but because their floors would collapse under the sheer weight of memes. Engineers would be calculating structural limits not in terms of processor heat, but in how many terabytes you can safely put on the second floor before it caves in. Suddenly, deleting files wouldn't just be about freeing up storage space, it would literally be about lightening the load. Got too much spam in your inbox? Better clear it out, or your email server might sink 6 inches into the ground. Accidentally left your old hard drives in the attic? Congratulations, you just broke the ceiling. This would make the internet a logistical nightmare. Every time Netflix adds a new movie in 4K, it would be like dropping a new car on top of their servers. Social media platforms would become gravitational hazards. If Instagram rolled out a big update, the sudden increase in data could slightly warp the Earth's crust. There might even be measurable tides, not from the moon, but from TikTok. And if the internet had weight, it would also have momentum. That means when data is transferred at high speeds, it's basically moving mass. Imagine downloading a huge file, not just as a flow of bits, but as a literal mass traveling through cables. Your home router would need shock absorbers. A giant file transfer between continents could cause the fiber optic cables under the ocean to tremble like fishing lines. It wouldn't just affect infrastructure, it would change human behavior. Want to send an email with a giant attachment? You'd have to pay for the shipping. A big enough file could require a forklift at the receiving end. Computer crashes wouldn't just freeze your system, they might dent your desk. Then there's the scary part. If enough data accumulates in one place, its weight could be, well, astronomical. What if some megacorporation built a single super server to hold all the world's information? Its sheer weight could compress under its own gravity. Keep adding data, and you might accidentally create the first black hole of knowledge, literally. It would sit somewhere in Silicon Valley, quietly pulling in not just surrounding buildings, but also anyone who happened to walk by with too many browser tabs open. And don't even think about the consequences of streaming. Right now, when you binge watch a show, the only thing you're killing is your productivity. But in this alternate reality, streaming would move mass. Watching a movie would literally shift weight from a server farm somewhere to your local device. Large-scale live stream events could redistribute tons of mass across the planet. A big enough viral video could subtly change Earth's rotation. Imagine a billion people downloading the same file at once, and the planet wobbles like a spinning top. The military implications would be bizarre. Cyber attacks wouldn't just be about stealing data, but about weaponizing weight. Hackers could upload enormous files to enemy servers just to make them collapse under the mass. Nations might ban heavy data types, banning 8K video not for bandwidth reasons, but because each one weighs as much as a sofa. Personal technology would also be unrecognizable. Your phone's storage capacity would be measured not in gigabytes, but in kilograms. Buying a bigger hard drive would mean installing stronger shelves. Cloud storage would literally be in the cloud, servers suspended from balloons just to get them off the ground. And then there's space travel. Right now, sending data to a spacecraft is just about radio signals. But in this reality, every byte sent to Mars would add to the spacecraft's mass. NASA would have to factor in the literal weight of updates to the Mars rover's software. Send too many images back to Earth, and the rover might tip over. It would change history too. The first email ever sent in 1971 would have barely weighed anything. But the invention of YouTube in 2005, that would have been like dumping a mountain of weight onto the planet in one day. The digital revolution would have also been the global backache, and yet people would adapt. We'd have data diets, limiting how much storage we use just to avoid collapsing furniture. Governments would regulate data zoning laws, so your neighborhood doesn't accidentally sink. We might even evolve physically, humanity developing stronger arms just from carrying laptops filled with heavy files. Finally, imagine the ultimate plot twist. What if deleting data actually made the Earth lighter, enough to change its orbit? One reckless cleanup of old internet archives could send us drifting slightly closer to the sun. Imagine explaining to future generations, we used to have winters, but then we deleted MySpace. So, could the internet physically weigh something? In reality, yes, but barely. Just a strawberry's worth of electrons. But in a world where data had mass, every selfie, every meme, and every late-night search would physically reshape our planet. The infrastructure of civilization would groan under the weight of our collective curiosity, and humanity would live in constant fear of the day someone uploads Shrek in 16K resolution.